Hi, everybody. Welcome to the call, and thank you so much. At the last minute, we had a few people chiming in. We definitely want to welcome you. And before we get started and talking about what the call is about, we always want to give it up to our president, Mike Jacobson of GaREIA. He's doing an amazing job. And, of course, our executive director, Karen Yap, because without the both of them, no matter what ideas we come up with, no matter what the members bring to the table, if they did not work with us to bring it forward, it would not happen. So we truly appreciate how they're working, the GaREIA, and how they allow up-to-date information to be passed around. And I'm hearing somebody, if you could please mute yourself out because the call is being recorded. We'd really appreciate it. And, again, welcome to the call tonight. Okay, this call is going to be a very exciting call. I know myself, the person that we're talking with tonight, who's going to be presenting some information, who's going to be answering some questions, is somebody that I met less than a year now, and I feel like I've just known him all my life. He's such a giving person, not only of information, but you hear all the time what makes GaREIA different from every other REIA, and I talk to a lot of REIAs, is the fact that this organization, the people here, truly want you to succeed. And this is a person that did not really know me very well, and I asked him for some information, and he shared some tips with me. And, again, he's just a person that, to me, shows that he cares that people succeed all the time. And, again, that's the beauty of GaREIA. So I'm really excited that Curt Smith is on the call with us, and I just want him at first to introduce himself and share what his position on the board is. But before he does, again, my name is Wendy Lovejoy, and I'm the marketing director of GaREIA. And Curt Smith, please share who you are and your position at GaREIA.
Thank you, Wendy. That was quite a build-up. Thank you so much. That was very generous, too generous, I think. No, I'm Curt Smith. I started out 4 years ago by reading a few books as an engineer. I realized that I wasn't going to be able to retire from my engineering job as an engineer. I was going to have to start doing something else. I read a book by Wendy Patton, who was one of the early people in real estate writing books, bought it off Amazon. And then I read a few books and then met Brad Topp, one of our Rising Stars wholesalers, does 50 deals a year, was on the board, invited me on the board, and he taught me how to and where to buy rentals in his district, very sharing, didn't mind that I was working houses right next door to his. It's just shockingly amazing that that's how at least the real estate investors I've met in GaREIA are that giving. So we have some rentals in Norcross right next to each other. I've moved on to other things, and he's moved on to mostly wholesaling. And so I've got, I got to count on my fingers and toes, and then some. So between 15 and 18 rentals, some in rent-own, some actually past owner finance. So that's our rent and creative financing story. But along the way, I realized that it's very difficult to find inventory. Now we're going to use non-traditional means, or actually means that were popular before the 2009-10 low, when inventory was just ready to jump into our arms. Back in the early 2000s, real estate agents and investors had to door knock and send yellow letters as a standard means to find inventory.
Well, at this moment, though, Curt, do me a favor. Can you share who you are at GaREIA?
Yeah. So like I said, Brad was on the board of directors. I joined the board of directors of GaREIA, and now I'm the membership director. Membership director is in charge of increasing membership and reaching out and touching all of you, and understanding what your needs are. And so you see me on the email list. So please, if you have any questions, just ask me directly or ask on the list. That's my role. That's my purpose, is to understand what your needs are and also to increase our membership.
And the reason that I wanted you to share that, because as marketing director, the thing we have in common is you and I both talk to a lot of people. And I can say Executive Director Karen Yap, we all talk to a lot of people at GaREIA because we're always paying attention to what people are being, their shortfalls in getting the deal done, or the information that they don't really have correctly yet. And we have a pulse on what the needs are of our community, which is, again, real estate investors, especially beginners. And one of the reasons I wanted you to share the experience you've had, and I want to share just a little bit, that even myself, I've been doing real estate since 1992. I know it sounds like I'm ancient, but I've been doing real estate for a long time. And I started off as a real estate investor with Robert Allen from his book, No Money Down, went to a conference and ended up buying 10 properties from that one conference that he taught, and they were all over the place. Some people believe in staying in their own 50-mile radius or one block or whatever. They give themselves that kind of a limit. He taught us to buy wherever we could. So I ended up with properties in different states, including Tampa, Florida, Las Vegas, and on and on and on. I even have some stuff in Jamaica, West Indies, because I did not limit myself to my area. But again, we're just sharing this so you know our background. And after that, I became a real estate broker, and my coach at that time was Mike Ferry, who happens to be the #1 real estate guru. And if anybody is selling hundreds of houses a year, or they have a huge professionalism, you will find that he taught them or he's coached them. And so that's helped. And then in around 2005, 2007, I came to GaREIA because I had moved to Atlanta and I wanted to become an investor. I no longer wanted to be a real estate broker. I wanted to be an investor, and I learned that GaREIA was the place to be. So I signed up, got connected, but I focused on doing a lot of flips. I sold out subdivisions like Shiloh Valley in Kennesaw, and I sold out, different subdivisions downtown Atlanta, and I did a lot, like I said, a lot of flipping, and I bought and hold some stuff, including doing deals with some strip malls. Some were average house. I did some properties that were $10,000, and I did some properties that were over $1 million. So we both have a lot of experience in real estate. And one of the things that in talking to Curt, we see that a lot of people think there's no inventory out there, and it's usually because they don't know how to find it. And he and I were having a conversation, and based on the questions people ask us when it comes to how they can move from either the boot camp or, they've come to a few classes and something is still not in their mind getting them to where they need to be. Curt and I had a conversation, and I would love you, Curt, to share what you said to me when it comes to your yellow letter or your postcard campaign. What is that?
I don't know if I can say the exact words, but I can say that there's only 3 other strategies to finding inventory other than sellers knocking on your front door. One is mailing letters to high probability addresses, and I say that the key in a yellow letter or postcard campaign is being smart about selecting who you mail to. Obviously, that makes sense to all of us. You just can't mail up and down the street. You have to know exactly or know how to buy that address list. The other is bandit signs, which have their downsides, and some locales it's illegal. And the other is door knocking, and that's only for some people, although that's good practice for everyone to learn how to talk to sellers and just be comfortable. But going back to yellow letters, that's a way in which you could reach 1,000 people in 1 month. You might do that with bandit signs, but you can easily do that with yellow letters and postcards.
And the thing that I found is that, as we were saying before, that some people think no inventory is out there. And because yellow letters are so successful, do you feel that they are one of the most useful ways to find deals right now? Like, say you wanted to do a deal in the next 2 weeks. Would a yellow letter help you get that accomplished?
Well, you framed it pretty narrow. If it was 2 weeks, definitely door knocking, because you need to get in front of a seller a day. Yellow letters, you can actually get a call back on a yellow letter a year later, because it goes into a drawer. And I've heard of people getting calls later than a year. So not 2 weeks. But definitely, I get calls within days of our yellow letter campaigns, but I'll mail out 1,000.
Right. And see, the reason that I share that is because I focus on doing, and when I'm talking to people, I try to say, which I've seen, if you mailed out 50 yellow letters, you're definitely going to get at least 3 calls. I've had people say to me, well, I've done yellow letters and nobody's called. And I say, well, you didn't put them in the mail. Because I agree that some people can call you a year later, and I'm getting some calls from people that I sent, letters to a long time ago. But I also know if I put 50 letters in the mailbox today, I'm going to get some calls within the next couple of days. Do you find that to be accurate?
Yes. You and I are mailing different locales. I'm mailing rural, and you're mailing urban, and you're having some advantages. So actually, I can say that you're doing very good. Mailing rural, I'm hitting some probates, a lot of old houses, and those folks take a lot of time to make up their mind that they're going to sell. So because I mail a large number of yellow letters, I do get calls in just a couple days.
Exactly. So that's why, to me, the yellow letter campaign is one of the best things to work. And I find that I believe in attraction marketing. Again, as marketing director and marketing coach, I believe in doing things that are going to get people to call you. And of all the things, door knocking is amazing. I like that too. Driving for dollars is great. All of that combined, I still would say yellow letter and the postcard campaign are great ways to get people calling you that definitely want to do a deal. And that's a great thing for a new investor, to have somebody say, listen, I got your letter, and, I'm interested in selling my house, or what numbers do you have for me? But let's answer this. What do you say in your yellow letter or your postcard?
Well, I've done a lot of study on Bigger Pockets and yellowletters.com. The owner of that company, yellowletters.com, posts in Bigger Pockets. Plus, he has helps on his own website. Basically, there's two styles. One targeting probate, which is an entirely different market, and everyone else. For everyone else, you just basically say, I want to buy your house. I have only so much money. I'd like to buy in your neighborhood. Please call me. Give the phone number. You could be even simpler than that and say, I'm looking to buy a house in your neighborhood this week and your phone number. And that's all you say.
Okay, so now this is the great thing about you and I partnering together in the program that we're going to be helping people to understand this better, because I simply just put, hi, Mary, my name is Wendy. My son and I would love to buy your house at 123 Main Street. We could pay cash, and I don't mind sharing more details, but it's very simple. However, even if you go and you get the list, or you go and get somebody, because I heard you mention 2 websites, the issue I find with that, Curt, is that brand new people, unless somebody is holding their hand, which is what GaREIA does very, very well, they are not going to have the same success as the people who get the coaching, get the training, and have somebody that they can connect with, like yourself or myself, or some of the coaches at GaREIA. But let me ask you also, how do you target the address list, and how do you do that? Because we know where they're going to get the list from if they proceed beyond this call, but how do you decide that's the target address that you're looking for?
The big name in list selling, if you study or if you start researching where to buy marketing lists, the big dog in the market is usleadsource.com. usleadsource.com. They have an amazing user interface that you can drill into neighborhoods, zip codes, and demographics, income, and price of house. And before you even buy the list, it will tell you how many addresses are in that list. But that's just the raw data. On the other side of the coin, people who are professional wholesalers that do nationwide wholesaling, do 1,000 deals a year, which sounds inconceivable, but some do. They've studied what makes a successful yellow letter campaign, and they discovered the number one predictor of success is that the house is vacant. And there's a lot of reasons why houses become vacant. Probate is a classic one, but also a job change where someone gets a job offer, they have to leave, they are carrying 2 mortgages, so that's a high pain point. Sometimes divorce, everyone leaves. Those are the basic ones I've heard of. And so a vacant house makes for a huge opportunity if you have a way to cull all of the data, both power bills being off, a recent power turning off. So it becomes a database issue on how you can find an existing address that recently has had mail turned off, power turned off, or a person who was at one address and now they turn up at another address. Now you can presume that the first address is empty. Well, there's folks that actually spend their lives perfecting those types of algorithms, and they sell lists. I subscribe to one such list by a nationwide wholesaler called Kent Clothier of Memphis Invest. I bought his system, and it so happens that I have a lifetime subscription to his database. And so that's what I gave you, Wendy, and you're having great success in your Duluth and Gwinnett zip codes. And I'm mailing rural zip codes. But the key is that the house has to be vacant. So that's one high predictor of a yellow letter campaign being successful.
And I have to agree with that, because most of the transactions that close quickly, and we can go further, later on with probates and all that kind of stuff, but in Gwinnett, in Decatur, Clayton, DeKalb, those are the areas that I focus on, and I happen to do different ways of getting my list, which we will share all of those ways when people connect for the coaching. But if you're going to do a lot of yellow letters, you need more than one way of getting names and addresses. And I agree with you 100%, Curt. The ones where it's vacant, especially when people have been relocated, and I was shocked at how many people in Georgia will live in Gwinnett and they get relocated to, say, Brookhaven, and instead of them driving back and forth, they'll opt to buy a property closer, or somebody in Duluth and they've been their jobs relocated to Sandy Springs, they'll leave the house vacant in Duluth and buy a condo in Sandy Springs. And those are the ones that you can get some great deals, creative financing. But the ones in Decatur, DeKalb, and Clayton County, all those areas, those are much easier to me anyway, to just go ahead and wholesale. So it is very important to target addresses and to understand how to find them. And the people on this call, because I heard a couple of people on this call, and I know in conversations with you, you like to drive for dollars. So pay attention to the vacant houses. Pay attention to the properties for rent. Curt is giving some really good information tonight. And one of the things that, Curt, can you share with the audience, what do they say when sellers begin to call them back? Because a lot of people, Curt, that have mailed letters, I know Della's on the call, and she was excited because I said, Della, if you mail 50 letters, I literally met with her and showed her my pile that I was getting ready to put in the mail before I put them, to show her that I really do what I'm telling her to do. And that's why my phone rings. She went on, did her 50 letters, and she was amazed she was getting calls. And to me, it's just a no-brainer. But what do you say when the phone starts to ring? Because it will.
Right. Well, the number one is to develop rapport, asking about, describe the house, why are you selling, did you move? And you kind of use your inflection of your voice in a caring way. Get to know the person. So you've moved away, and now this house is extra. Do you know if it needs any repairs? Can you guesstimate the repairs? Because you want the person to start reflecting on the reality of the house, because what they remember is a house where they lived for 10, 15 years, raised a family, and they aren't thinking about the rehab costs. So when you start negotiating price, you need to have them thinking about the amount of repairs it's going to need. So part of the report process is, why are you selling a great house like this? Is Bill Cook's line. And they'll give a reason, and then you go, oh, yeah, I can understand that. And so you give an understanding response. And then, well, if you were to sell it today, do you think the person moving in would want anything repaired, anything painted, new appliances? Why don't you go through the list? And so they go through the list, and you go, well, okay, $3,000 for that, $2,000 for this, and $1,000. And they go through the whole list, and you say, well, that adds up to about $17,000. Does that sound about right to you? And you get them to agree, yeah, about $17,000. And then, do you have a price in mind? No, I really haven't thought about it. They would, half of the people say, I want you to make an offer, because they really don't have an idea. And they're hoping for a high price, of course. Everyone hopes for a high price. And at that point, that's where the challenge is. And so my strategy is to say, well, let me do some research. I'm going to hang up, and then I will call you tomorrow. I may have a price in mind already, but you want them to think that wheels are turning, and there's a machine out there that cranks out prices, when really it's just the standard, what can I wholesale it for? Am I interested in this buying this myself for a rental, or do I need a wholesale price? That means it's got to be pretty low. So that's a challenge at that point. That's one of the first challenges, is when they ask for a price.
And that's the thing that most people, some people, well, not, let me not say most. Let me say some people I've spoken to. One young lady told me that her phone did ring after she did some yellow letters, but then when the seller called and it didn't go with the number she was looking for, she just simply hung up. And I said, no, you don't want to do that. You want to question enough to find out their motivation, because I've had a seller, as a matter of fact, it happened to me earlier today. I had an elderly lady, a vacant property, and she said that she thought she could get $180,000 because when she first got married, which is over 50 some odd years ago, she saw that the houses were going up. She bought it for under $100,000, but she saw that a few years ago they were selling for $180,000, and she thought she should get $180,000. But we ended up, believe it or not, going into contract for $2,000 because her house was not in move-in condition, and so she had to be educated and let her know that, you cannot get that. This is what properties with issues like yours are having get, and she was happy with that because she was educated. So now if I had just stopped with her on the phone because she gave over $100,000 and not met with her and educated her, that deal would have gone nowhere. So I really want people to understand that you want to keep having conversations with sellers. And some of the things you heard Curt just say, we just did some of that training on the business strategies, conversations with sellers, which is going to be available on the GaREIA website within the next 2 weeks. So for the people that missed out, you can go to our bookstore very shortly and be able to get some of this stuff there. But Curt, if somebody said to you, a price that's unreasonable after you spoke to them on the phone, would you still meet with them, or would you just consider it a dead deal?
Well, there's what I do and what I know I should do. So here's the case. Do as I say, not as I do. So the advice from high volume people who are full time, and my problem is I've got a day job and I'm doing a ton of other things, and it's very difficult for me to hop in a car and run off to my seller's house. But that's what I should be doing if I at all possibly can, because face to face you're showing skin in the game, and they're showing and you will have more of a bonding with the seller when you point out that the roof is in pretty rough shape and that air conditioner, blah blah blah, and the neighbor who got $180,000 spent $20,000 fixing her house up, but you haven't spent anything. So even though you've got a mortgage for $160,000, I don't see how you're going to get more than just $1,000 or $2,000 over your balance due to move out. And so you start going through that math. They have a mortgage for X. The house may be worth $180,000 in pristine condition, but it has all this fixed up. So you might be able to arrive at a price that is just a couple thousand over what their mortgage is, and that's just move out money, basically.
Great. And now the other question I'd like to ask you is, we're getting the phones to ring, But when you do this yellow letter campaign or your postcards, what number are you putting on your postcard or yellow letter?
Yeah, well, if I'm mailing out 50 and I don't have a day job, or I have an ability to have my calls go to a voicemail, I can put my cell phone on it. But if you mail out 1,000, let me tell you, you do not want to put your cell phone on that postcard. So I know, Wendy, you've got some voicemail services that you recommend. I went with one, Segway.com, $9 a month. I put a very nice 1.5 minute or so description of my company, what I can do, and then leave a voicemail message, and it gets emailed to me. I just double click it in my email, and I hear the person's message, and I call them back. So I use just a voicemail service. Some use Live Answer. I haven't gone that route. That's pretty expensive. And I don't have a problem with people hanging up on this service, which is the reason why they say go to Live Answer, because you'll avoid the hang-ups. I don't get any hang-ups. Everyone leaves a message, and Ben and I just have to get back to responding to all those voicemails.
Well, the two schools of thought I have, as I shared with you, months ago, is I used to use Segway, and because I travel so much and I didn't have a system in place, or to pay them when I was out of town. I was out of town at one time for over 4 months, and between Jamaica and Spain. And when I got back, they had cut off my number and given it to somebody else. My other school of thought is when I was a real estate broker, one of the things Mike taught us is that your phone number has a value to it. It has a value to it in that it's like goodwill, because if you have the same phone number for a minute, people calling that number know that they're calling for real estate. So you can literally sell that. It's worth a few $1,000s to somebody else who needs their phone to ring. So I personally prefer to use an inexpensive cell phone, or I still like having some landlines that you can have control over, DTA box, Vonage, any of those, because again, that's just, Curt and I are sharing. We do the same thing, just slightly differently, but it gets you the same results. And that's the great thing about these types of coachings, trainings, mentoring, is you pick up the things that feel good to you and you do them, but you're getting the result that you're after. So I love having, because people say to me, why do you have more than one cell phone? Well, one cell phone is the one that I use to get all my calls for my yellow letters, and I don't always answer it because sometimes I just personally want to hear what message they're leaving, and then I call them back. At my leisure, so that I have gotten a feel of what they're saying and know how to respond. So again, we're both saying what number you should put. You can determine from what Curt said, because that system is very inexpensive. I used it so long, the number's still in one of my books. So it did work well. I didn't have people hanging up on me either, so that was a pretty good service. The other thing is, Curt, what are some of the mentoring opportunities at GaREIA, including this one? What can you share about it? And I will go ahead and talk about, how to get started and all of that with this Yellow Letter campaign mentoring coaching program. But what can you share about the opportunities that are available?
Well, I think you might have more to say, and I want you to have more to say, but what I can say is there definitely is a need. We are feeling and hearing as membership directors that people want the jump start from people who are walking the walk, and not just book learned. They want to hear and be held accountable and be coached on a every other week basis on progress and have their problem solved. Have someone that they can reach out to with a relationship and feel comfortable. There's some people just have a challenge sharing the problems they're having with just anyone. They need to have a relationship. And that's part of what a mentor program and also an accountability group program is about.
And I agree with that because, the thing with having mentoring or coaching for everybody that is listening, you heard me mention that since '92, there's some coachings that I paid for in mentoring with Robert Allen that was so expensive back then, and Robert Kiyosaki and Mike Ferry, and I can go on and on, Anthony Robbins. But the great thing about that is the money I invested in them was really an investment in myself, and I've been using that information in every area of my life years later. It's over 20 years later, and I'm still making money from the money that I invested in what I learned from those so-called, experts in their field. And I found that one thing about having a coach that's been helpful to me is that they cut your learning curve. They see the pitfalls you're going to go down. They understand the things you don't know that you don't understand yet, and they just make it a lot easier for you to gain the knowledge without it costing you more in the long run. One of the things that I would like to ask people on this call is, number one, what would you find the value in if you were going to get 200 leads and you were going to be taught exactly how to handle those leads, how to write your letter, how to do your yellow letter campaign and your postcard campaign, and somebody that you can text, communicate with, in who's not going to tell you what they did 5 years ago. They're right there in the trenches with you, because if you heard Curt, he's doing deals today. You heard me. I'm doing deals today. I'm not telling you what I did in 2007. I'm telling you what I did this morning. Curt is telling you what he did this week, today, tomorrow. And so we're in there still investing. And so I really would encourage you to listen to the information again, but if you're really looking to have a jump start in your real estate investing, I believe if you did a yellow letter campaign and you did it correctly and you had good leads, you definitely could end up with a property in less than 30 days, or at least be in contract or having conversations with the seller that'll get you that much closer to closing a deal. So Curt and I are excited because at GaREIA we've been allowed to go ahead and we're going to be doing this coaching program. You can decide to get more information at GaREIA if you feel that this is something that resonates with your spirit and you want to jump on board. The one-time fee is $297. You get 90 days, and in those 90 days, you will have walked through a deal. And one thing I like is when you work with somebody like Curt and myself, one of the things we left out, which is what I'm going to be training about on the next business strategies class at GaREIA, is going to be about building your teams. Because one of the things Curt said earlier is that he is himself. He cannot go and do other things. But because I have a team, today I had more than 5 appointments, but I was able to tell somebody on my team, listen, I'm no longer in Stone Mountain, but I just had a lady call me and she said I can come see the house now, and we were talking, I spoke to her over the weekend and said, get back to me today. And my team member was able to go look at the property and ask her the questions I would, and already has an exit strategy with her. So we're going to be talking about building your teams. If you want to build your business to a point where you're doing, whatever amount of deals, because Curt does a lot of transactions. He's got more than one property. And so I really think that this coaching program is invaluable. But if $297 seems like it's too much of a big bite at one time, you do have a monthly payment that you can choose. And again, if you call GaREIA and you can speak with Karen Yap, our executive director, she'll be able to process your payment, and within the next 2 weeks, it will be on the website. However, tonight, Curt and I wanted to do this call because we have a few seats for this. We're not taking a huge amount of people because one of the things that you get is unlimited access to us through phone, through email. I prefer to be text. He prefers to be called. We also do emails, and it's from Monday through Saturday. There's a time frame, like 10 to about 8 in the evening, that you'll have ultimate access to us. So we don't want it to be a huge group at this moment. However, the next group after the next 90 days, it's going to be a different price point, and it's going to be, probably even other coaches working with you. However, at this point, you will be getting, as I said, at least 200 leads. You'll be shown exactly how to do the letter. You get a monthly group conference call. You get an individual call, and you have unlimited access to us on the phone and through your emails. And in 90 days, if we help you walk through a deal, you will have attorneys, you will have other wholesalers you can market to, you will have every aspect of the deal, team players to help you complete your transaction. And if we help you do 3 deals in that time frame, I truly believe you will know how to do whatever deal comes in front of you, and you'll be able to look at a deal and have different options. Because the other thing that I have found, I had a gentleman say to me, I'm really good at yellow letters, but he had people calling him, and he didn't have scripts. He didn't know what to say. So when they set something beyond rent with option, he just simply didn't do the deal. Whereas if you have somebody, again, like Curt and myself, who've done all kinds of deals, we can show you different ways of doing the same transaction. So I really encourage you. This is I think it's a tremendous thing for GaREIA to offer this type of coaching and program and mentoring, and it's all because we not only believe that the boot camp is something that's going to help you get to where you need to go, but we truly believe that having a mentor who's having, not had, but having success is going to help you. So with that being said, we're going to open up the call for questions and comments. We're not going to take too many. So feel free to announce yourself. And great. So do we have any questions or comments?
Hey guys, this is Zahid Izam here. I have a question. First of all, great information. I really enjoyed this. I'm seriously thinking about your offer. My question was with regards to sending yellow letters or postcard. Being a beginner, sometimes you're constrained for budget. So you could send a few yellow letters, or you can send more postcard. So which approach would you say would be better, if you have a limited budget to start off with? Is it yellow letter or is it postcard?
Well, Curt, what would be your answer to that? Because I can personally say that if you did 50 yellow letters, you can go to the dollar store and get a pack. You can get 1 pack of legal pads that'll give you, 50 to 100 pages on it, and then depending on what envelopes you choose, that's another maybe $6, 10 the most. So that right there, that's 11, and then your stamps are going to cost you maybe $50 or more. But Curt, because I know you do postcards quite a bit too, which do you think is better for him?
Well, I wonder if that person could mute their phone.
Yes, the person with the child, please mute your phone now.
Yeah.
Okay, Curt, you can answer.
Other than probate, which is one of those delicate situations where a formal letter is more appropriate. If it's just a vacant house with a moved away homeowner, there's no politics involved. There's no credibility needed. They desperately need a solution. And my experience, and also my own study, I actively study many experts in all the fields that I get into, and I tend to be overeducated. Postcards are guaranteed open. You do not have to rip open an envelope in order to read the postcard. They say, and it basically says, I want to buy your house, that phone number. And either it appeals to them at that instant or it doesn't. And often that postcard gets put in a drawer. So it has 100% open rate. It's plus it's 41 cents. And it's a little for you postcards. You can even, if there was let's just say this is a tourist town, heaven forbid, you can go to hotels and grab all the free postcards for a touristy location, and they really get a look at, because it shows a waterfall or it shows some touristy attraction, and you write on the back, I want to buy your house and your phone number and a stamp. You're going to get noticed. So,
well, see now see though, Curt, again, this is two schools of thought, and you just basically have to choose which one. I've had people literally say to me, I opened up your letter because the envelope, one lady said to me she opened it up because she thought her father was cheating on her mother because the envelope was such a nicely written one, and she saw the return address was from a woman. She opened it. I've had others say they opened it and they loved the fact that it was personally written to them, and it didn't seem like I was just doing this to a blanket group of people. They didn't know I was doing hundreds of yellow letters. They just assumed, well, she's only writing to me. So to me, either one is inexpensive, because even though you have 100% open rate because there's nothing to open, you still are looking for, if you want to do 3 deals a month, you're just looking for 3 sellers that are going to want to go along with the terms that you have on the table or the number you're looking to profit. You don't need 100 people to answer it. So Curt's way is a little less expensive, but they both work. So now you would ask yourself, do I want to do 25 postcards, or do I want to do 50 postcards, or do I want to do 25 letters or 50 letters? But this program that we're talking about, this mentoring, you're going to get the addresses if you need them. If not, if you have your own addresses, it's still going to help you, because questions like you just asked, you have somebody to go to and ask every step of the way, and that will be helpful. So that was a good question, and hopefully, and okay, did we answer your question? Okay, if anybody else has a question or a comment, we'd love to hear from you.
I do. This is Steve. I wanted to know with the mentoring or coaching, what about when you over the phone you get to an agreement and then you want to go to the seller's home and finalize with a contract. What kind of education or mentoring would you be doing in that regard?
Well, we definitely are going to help you with at least your first transaction. We will go up to 3 in those 30 days if you're that coachable, because people are different. And I'm hoping Della can just share with you guys some of the things that she's going through as I'm walking her through her yellow letters. But we definitely would, because to me the best way to learn is when you see the person, that has experience do it. Now, if you feel that all you need, because I have some people that say, I can handle it as long as you're on the phone, or I can get you on the phone, I'm good. But we definitely will go with you if it makes sense on at least your first transaction. Would that be helpful to you?
Definitely.
Yes, and so this package, as I was saying before, is really generous of GaREIA because some people are doing less coaching and they're charging $9.97, but we're doing this as a quick start, jump start type of a program for our members. So hopefully you're a member that sees great benefit at being with GaREIA, and we wanted to kind of say thank you by offering this kind of a program. We will take one more question or comment.
Yes, this is Ted. I have a quick question.
Sure.
My question is, so you have to be already a GaREIA member to take advantage of this mentorship program, or it doesn't matter?
Well, if you're looking, because our members always get discounts on things that we offer. So if you're not a member, can I ask what state you live in?
Cobb.
Okay, so it might be more profitable to you to become a member, but I would encourage you to call our office and speak with our executive director, Karen Yap, and she'll be able to tell you what the cost would be for non-members. But I really believe we give so many benefits at GaREIA, like Home Depot and discounts at so many of the things that we're doing, other coaching programs we have, that it is really cost effective to become a member. But if you choose not to be, then it's going to cost you a little bit more, and you're not taking advantage of all the benefits. So I would just encourage you to call the office and speak with Karen, and she'll be able to share with you what the cost would be for non-members.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I will. I do plan on being a member. It's just that I'm not a member yet.
Okay. Well, we look forward to having you get on board. And, again, if you say that to Karen, she will be able to, talk with you and walk you through and be able to answer whatever questions you may have. Okay? One more question or comment. Anybody else have a question or a comment on tonight's training or the program? I'm sorry?
This is Steve, and I was wondering, what is, I came in a little late, what's the cost and how do you sign up?
The cost to sign up is for GaREIA, or for, what are you asking?
Oh, for the workshop. I'm already a member of GaREIA.
Oh, great. Then for you, it is going to be $297 if you make it a one-time payment. You can choose to pay it off in 3 payments, but it's less expensive at $297. Does that price point work for you?
Yes.
Awesome. So we look forward to working with you because, again, we're starting September 1st. So it's limited space, and I'm really looking forward to working with you, and I know Curt is too.
So how do you sign up? Where do you go?
You go to call our office, and speak with Karen Yap, our executive director, and she'll be able to take your credit card over the phone. Karen, are you on the phone with us?
Yes. Would you like the number?
Yes, and can you just share with him what's the easiest way for him to sign up? Because I'm getting a few people asking that.
Yes. Just call me. 770-451-8800. 770-451-8800.
What's a good time to call?
Call anytime, and if you need to leave a voicemail, I will call you back.
Oh, hey, Karen, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And it's just if you're on the phone and use it, because I know myself, I'm so spoiled. I have GaREIA on auto dial, so I don't see the number, and that's a bad thing. But because I don't see the number, I just dial it on my cell phone. But you can also go to www.GaREIA.org, and you will be able to see www.GaREIA.org. You will be able to see the information, the location of GaREIA, the phone number, and, how to contact. But the easiest way is to call in the office. Do we have any other question or comment? Yes.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Okay, and you may have already mentioned it. So I have just a couple of questions. So if we do a one-time payment, it's $297. The 3 monthly payments, how much would that be?
It's going to end up costing you a little bit more because it's always less expensive at $297. It's going to cost you about $330 if you go with the 3 monthly payments.
Okay, and I thought I heard you said the yellow campaign that it lasts for the total, like if it lasts for 90 days. Is that correct?
Yes, it's going to be a 90-day program because it's really intensive because, again, the point is you get access to 2 people that are having success with their with their campaigns, and we're teaching what we're currently doing. And also you have unlimited access to us. It's not like once you sign up, you never get to speak to us. So it's pretty intensive, and I believe if you're coachable, you'll probably get the gist of it within the first 30 days. The 90 days is just really a cushion because, you're connected in the environment and you're building your team and everything else.
Okay, so during the 90 days, during the 90 days, you're kind of taking us from the beginning with building our team, and we're doing all that, preparing ourselves before we start actually sending out the mailings.
Yes, we're helping with all of that, but I heard Curt, and I'm sure he wanted to add something.
Okay.
Curt, did you want to say something?
Yeah, we're going to get a yellow letter mailing out first off. That's one of the first things we're going to do because we want to have the mailing out early so that you start getting the callback and you start dealing with the negotiations in month 2. But we're going to have a combination of physical face-to-face and some virtual, but probably start off with a physical face-to-face or to jumpstart the program.
Right. Now, the thing is, as we discussed with Curt before, is this is not a program that if you cannot come to the office that you limit yourself or you talk yourself out of getting in, because as Curt just said, we also have face-to-face training through Skype or Google Groups, and we are starting with you sending out that first yellow letter. So we show you exactly what to put in your letter, what envelopes to get, how to address them. We show you step by step. So that's very important.
Okay, and I do have another question. Like, there's so many different ways to find different people to direct the mail to. Like, it can be probate or inheritance or absentees. Like, do you tell us show us where to go for the market that we're targeting?
Yes. And the thing is, again, are you a GaREIA member?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I would really encourage that you take the website information down and just keep looking on our website, because these conference calls, we're going to be having some calls on probate, wholesaling, everything you just discussed. But can I ask you, how did you hear about tonight's call?
Well, I've been kind of trying to teach myself, and I'm since June 13th. So that was my start date, and I'm kind of just timing myself from that point of when I get my first deal. So I heard a call from you and William Galloway a couple months ago. So since then, every now and then I kind of just try to catch a seminar when I can.
And how are you finding out about the conference calls that we're doing?
I think I just signed up for a website. I may have been on the GaREIA site because I got an email today that said the seminar was 7:30.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. And I hardly ever catch them. I'm either too early or I'm too late. So today it may have been meant for me to hear this one today.
Well, I'm grateful to that, because I just wanted to know, because we put it on Facebook and it's of course on the GaREIA website, and I was just curious in how you heard about the call. So thank you so much, and I hope you take advantage of this opportunity. So thank you.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Guys, we'll take one last call. Anybody else question or comment?
I had one question. This is Zahid.
Sure. Okay, I heard. Yes, go ahead. Somebody has a very noisy background. If you know who you are, please mute out your phone. Go ahead.
Okay. So my question was with regards to this mentoring that you're talking about. Is there any kind of tie-up at the back end of it? So if we do, hopefully we'd all be able to do deals. But would there be any cut at the, when we do make a deal, or is it $297? Let's say one payment and that's it.
Well, most coaching programs is that your first transaction, there is a split with the mentor. That's most coaching programs. So that would happen for your first transaction. The whole breakdown is given. But as I said, within 90 days, you could do more than one transaction. And can I ask you this? Having a deal done, walking away knowing that you can, in the future, use the same attorneys, the same, maybe the investors, mentors, and I can go on and on and on to get your future transactions. How valuable is that to you?
Yeah, Wendy, that would be very valuable. My issue is somewhere else. I think what I'll do is I'll talk to you offline.
Sure, that's not a problem. My phone number, I'm sure you have it. It's not.
No problem. That's fine.
Yes. Okay, that's not that. Thank you. That was a good question. But some mentors are not only charging. I mean, there's some mentors that are giving a 70-30 split. There are some mentors that are saying for your first deal, they take a lot of money out of it, and you cannot speak to the attorneys they put together or get the wholesalers yourself, and on and on and on. So again, to me, as somebody who's benefited from programs that were more expensive than this, I can honestly say this is really a blessing. It really, really is. So and I think it's very generous of GaREIA to offer it. Other REIAs are even charging you a lot more for mentoring programs, and I'm talking about high thousands, and you don't get this type of a value. So, again, so thank you for that question. I thought a young lady, and we'll let her speak, and then we'll close out.
No,
Did I hear a young lady? Oh, okay. Is it a young man that I heard then?
I wouldn't call myself young, but I'll take that. His name is Lawrence. My question is, the 200 leads that you get in the program, are they for vacant properties?
Curt, do you want to answer that?
Yep, it's the Kent Clothier. You can Google Kent Clothier of Memphis and Best. It's vacant, yes.
Okay. One other quick question. This mentoring program, which sounds great, by the way, do the lessons overlap with some of the lessons I would be getting in the October boot camp? Because I'll be signing up for that as well.
Well, let me say this. The boot camp is completely different from this mentoring program. They actually go hand in hand, and I think you would definitely benefit from both of them. We're not going to take away from the boot camp. They complement each other.
Right. This goes into specific implementation, specific lead generation. The boot camp will mention yellow letters and bandit signs and door knocking, but not go into the details of how you actually do each. Where this is a deep dive into a specific technique, yellow letters.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so guys, we really appreciate having you on the call. So I want to say to you that that we appreciate having you on the call.
Yeah, we're getting tired, aren't we?
And so before we go, can I ask if Della's on the call? Della, are you still on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Della, can you share for me, and I what has been your experience? Because you attended the boot camp. You're also getting mentoring on your yellow letter campaign. Can you tell me how the two worked for you?
Yeah, I did attend the boot camp from, when was that? January? And no, that was the end of last year. But it was, and then I've attended other things and I've been around for a while, but focus is definitely the key. I've had a lot of irons in the fire, and I've been hot with the gathering my information and real estate, and then I'm drawn away to something else, and then back into it, and then drawn away to something else. So now I am ready to focus, and especially after the Life on Air event where Wendy and I sat and had some conversations, and she told me, you know what works for me is just doing and committing to the yellow letter campaigns for the most part. And I was like, I've been knowing about yellow letters for a long time so far as information. Hello? Can you hear me?
We're here. We can hear you, Della. Thank you. Go ahead. Keep sharing.
I've been knowing about it for a long time, but I guess, never really thought that maybe that's where you should start, or maybe that should be in conjunction with like 10 other things or what have you. So we really got a chance to sit down and talk about it, and Wendy said just, keep it simple, do this, send it out, and stay committed. Build your list and stay committed. And I started, what would you say, Wendy, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, but you sent out your letters pretty much last week. And is your phone ringing?
Yeah, was it last week? Yeah, I started last week and went ahead and got everything in order, and then just started writing. At first it was kind of awkward, just, writing. How should I write? I don't think I have the best handwriting, but after a while, after I say like your 20th one, then it starts to kind of flow. It's no big deal. But, started sending them, and long story short, my phone started ringing, and I've really gotten what I would consider thus far some quality calls. 2 of them are really promising. I got 4 calls, and I sent out like maybe 30, 40 letters, and then I sent out another 10 to 15. I wasn't able to do 50 all at once, so I did like 40 and then like 15 and then I've been building my list. And I mean, I've gotten some quality calls.
So, and one of the things is, did you find, Della, that it was important to have, a system in place where it's, what do you call this, where you are focusing on name and address? And remember, we had a conversation where you were really more like saying, oh, I really need to organize when they call me back or what I need to know from them. Did you find that was as important as just putting out the letter, and then you came out to the business strategies and heard the conversations with sellers? Or did you find that just being able to have conversations with them when they call you is more important? What has been more valuable for you?
Oh, geez. Let's see. I would answer that by saying you really need to have a way in which you're going to capture your data, and then capturing as much. You don't need to capture as much as you. Initially, I was capturing everything, and it's not necessary. You just need, basic data. But what was important to me and what has been valuable to me with my recent conversations with you, Wendy, is when the seller calls you back, it can vary. Yeah, I had a person that said, okay, you sent my husband a letter, and what would you pay for our house? Just flat out, like, no, I was like, well, hey, how you doing? So, so it's knowing how to kind of get ready to handle different type of scenarios is good, and to be able to talk to someone, because I found that even though I have a background in business and sales, dealing with real estate and this different business vertical is kind of different. So having someone to talk to that's been in it for a while and saying, well, you don't really want to say that, say this or cut this part out of your script, that's helpful, really helpful.
And did you find it valuable that you have unlimited access? There's no like, okay, you can only call me on Mondays from 2 to 5, or you have to only email me. Did you find it valuable that when you're out there and things are happening, we're communicating in time? Has that been helpful?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, because I was, like, totally excited when my phone started ringing, and then I was reminded that, I may want to not get too excited. I want to get as much information as possible, but different ways to look at different things that people say, and strategies. I will say this. I have learned, I've had like 4 calls, and now I'm back and forth with 2. And I will say that I learn something every time I hang up the phone. I mean, every conversation you have, you learn something. You hang up and you're like, okay, I could have did this, I should have did that, and this and that. And then, being able to talk to Wendy about it is good.
Awesome. And what I really appreciate is, again, Della is, to me, I always say you got to be coachable, because that's what all my mentors have always said to me. Just let me coach you. It may not make sense to you, but do it this way because there's a reason to do it this way. And Della is very proactive. She gets out there and she gets it done. So if you're that type of a person, if you're a person that is really looking to change your real estate business and you're really willing to do the work, because Curt and I are here to hold your hand. GaREIA is the best support to me in the world, and I don't say that. They don't pay me to say that. I say that from experience here. This is the place that is going to help you have success, but you got to be willing to do the work. So if you're that person, this is the perfect program for you, and of course the boot camp. And I would encourage you to go to the website, because there's a promotion running right now for the boot camp where the prices are going to go up. So you really want to look into that. These two programs are not in competition with each other. They complement each other. And I am really appreciative, again, that GaREIA thinks so much of their members that they keep bringing you things that are going to help you to succeed. And what I would love to do is to, again, thank our president, Mike Jacobson, thank our executive director, Karen Yap. And my name is Wendy Lovejoy. I'm the marketing director. And we're going to turn this call over to Curt Smith, our members director. New members is what he focuses on, and we're going to let him close us out. So, Curt, can you please close us out? And thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you, everyone. What I would like to say is there's going to be successes and there's going to be failures. We learn more from failures. As I heard from Della, maybe some of those callers were a hang-up. Some of those callers said, give me a price, and you stumbled. Those were more, you learn more from a challenge like that. Now, as mentors and coaches, we can help you to avoid a lot of those things, but really, we each have our own fires we have to face. And my wife and I in our company, after we've had a stumble, we realized, yep, that was very useful. I'm sure glad it wasn't a bigger stumble, but we learned from it. And what we're going to be here for you is both to describe where the problem areas are and also solutions. And I hope to see everyone in this program, or if that's his first time, the next time and the time after. I look forward to helping everyone become successful real estate people and quitting their day job. My goal is for everyone to quit their day job.
And that sounds like a winner to me. So thank you again. Have a great, great evening, everybody. And we look forward to working with you to come out again to GaREIA, get to know us, go to the website, stay in the community, and here's to success in your real estate career. With that being said, yes.
What is your size? Wendy, can I ask just a really quick question?
Sure.
Let's see. Do we need to have, like, at least a certain, like, to start going through this 90-day program, do we need to have so much, X dollars in savings, or, or are we still looking at strategies for no money down, with these vacant homes?
Well, I would say this. It always helps if you have some money, but I have literally purchased properties with no, it's, you could still get some things for very little money, but it's all in building relationships. You might find somebody who puts up the money. If you're focusing on wholesaling, you need something, but you don't need to make that the stumbling block. I would really say if you get your phone ringing, you're going to be able to do a deal with very little cash involved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That was a great question. So, guys, we don't want to keep you all night. We really appreciate your enthusiasm and your anxiousness for the program. It is available, and we look forward to answering all your questions. Feel free to go to the website, call the office. Karen will definitely be able to sign you up, and we will, once you get enrolled, we'll move from there. Okay, guys? Thank you again. Thank you so much, Curt, and everybody have a great night. Talk to you
Wendy.
soon. Yes.
Wendy.
Yes, Stella.
Check your email for me, please.
Not a problem. I will. And everybody else, if you know somebody, this call will be on replay, so you can share it, listen to it again, and we look forward to working with you. Have a good night, everybody. This call's officially over. Thank you.
Good night.